All right, this is Chapter 7, Section 7, Write and Apply Exponential and Power Functions. You're going to want to make sure you have your calculator handy during this one. We will be using the calculator for the majority of these problems and examples and exercises. So to begin with, a long time ago, we talked about a button or a feature that your calculator has that allows us to find the regression line. And this helps us, this basically gives us the best possible equation for certain types of problems. And what it is you use the stat button. So all of you with your calculator, please grab stat, the calculator, push stat, and then arrow once over to the word calc. And what you should see is a menu that for number 1 says 1 var, number 2 says 2 var, number 3 is med. Number 4 then is where the regression lines come into play. So hopefully you can see that number 4 is a lin reg. If you were ever given 2 points, you could use the lin reg to come up with the equation for you. Here is the quad reg. All right. I think you need, for the quad reg, you need the vertex and at least 1 point or at least 3 points to come up with the quad reg. 6 is the cube reg. 7 is the quartic reg. You've got another linear equation regulation, and then 9 and 10, 9, 10, and A are all the ones you're going to be using. So basically, you should find a ln reg you should have an x reg and a power or a PWR reg. So let's take a look. Once you see that, go back to edit. So for this, step 1 is going to be to push the edit button. Step 2, oh, I'm sorry, not edit button. Step 1 is to push the stat button. Stat button. And then number 1 says edit, and that's what we're going to do. So you're going to hit enter when the number 1 for edit is highlighted. And what that does is it brings up a whole a list. You should see L1, you should see L2, you should see L3 across the top of the screen. If you don't see L1 as the very first thing and then L2, you should come see me right away, and we're going to have to reset your calculator so that this actually works for you. Now, L1 represents the x variables. So this right here represents the x's. L2 is going to represent your y's. So looking at the graph, the first x is 1. So you type 1 and hit enter. The second x is 4. So your first x is 1, your second x is 4. That's from here, and that's from here. Now for your y's, the first y is 10, and the second y is 80. That's from the 10 here and the 80 right there. So once you have that number in there, those numbers in there, what you do is you go back to the main menu screen. You go back to the stat button. And this time you go over to calc. You go all the way down to the exponential regression. You hit enter, and on your screen it should say EXP reg. And what the calculator will do is it will look at these points in L1 and L2. Just FYI, it only works in L1 and F2, or L1 and L2. It will look at the expression or the exponential regression line between those points. And it'll give you, when you hit enter again, it'll give you y equals ab to the x. And then it'll say x is 5. It'll say b is 2. And so then your equation, you should be able to write as y equals 5 times 2 to the x power. You've now done an exponential regression line. Same goes for here. Put into the stat, edit. Your x's are 1 and 2. So L1 should say 1 and 2. L2 should have 8 and 32 in them. And then quit. Go back to the main menu. Push, go to calc. Arrow down to where you see xreg. And it will tell you that your y equals a times b to the power of x is y, oh, I'm sorry, then it'll say a equals 2 and b equals 4. So your equation, y equals 2 times 4 to the power of x. That's how you can find these regression lines. So for guided practice number 1, you put those 2 points, pause the video, put those 2 points into your calculator, and try to come up with the equation. So number 1, okay, so again, pause the video and do all that work. Use the calculator to come up with your equation. Your equation should end up being 0.371 371 x to the power of 1.43. All right, so let's take a back look at these examples. And I think I maybe, no, exponential. What you're going to see for the guided practice, though, number 1 did not ask for an exponential. Number 1 asked for a power function. Okay, a power function that is in the form y equals a times x to the power of b. So you have to be very careful what the question is asking you. If it's asking for power function, you use the PWR reg. If it's asking for a exponential function, you use the EXP reg function. So number 3, again, is asking for a power function. You pause the video, you put it into the equation, you find the regression line, and for number 3, your regression line should be y equals 0.278 x to the power of 2.09. So, again, please make sure you know how to use the power button for power function and how to do the exponential function. Should make it very easy for you to come up with the equations. All right, looking at this table now. It's the exact same thing. All right, you're not gonna have to do this ln part. It says to draw a scatter plot of the data. Okay, you can draw the scatter plot of the data if you want. All right, don't do this part here. Draw the scatter plot. And what you're gonna do is find an exponential model for the original data. So you go to stat, you type in L1, all of these, so this is L1, so 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. The L2 is your A, so you type in 210, 255, 310, 377, and all you have to do then is go to the exponential feature of your calculator, and it will tell you that the exponential equation for this. So basically, on your note-taking guides, it's going to have a bunch of tables, a bunch of stuff for you to do. You should go all the way down to the bottom where it says A equals and where it says exponential model, and A will just simply be 209.35 1.22 to the power of t. So you're going to skip all of the work that the note-taking guides tell you to do, and you're just going to put this in for L1, put this in for L2, and let your calculator do the exponential regression line for you. We're going to skip guided practice number 4. It's the exact same thing. Put x, you're going to have an L1, you're going to have an L2. You're going to put all the numbers in. And actually, I'll give you the answer for it. The equation, let's see here. Let's put all the points in, and I'll tell you the equation here in just a second. All right, once you put all of those numbers in, so like this number here was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It went all the way to 7. Number one, this was 15, 23, 40, 52, 80, and so on. When you put all those numbers in, you would get an exponential regression line in the form y equals ab to the x, where a is 11.39 and b was 1.45. So the equation y equals 11.39 times 1.45 to the x power. That's how you come up with the regression line. Example 3 is a power function. It's the same thing. Put it into the equation. I think they're going to walk you through a bunch of steps on the note-taking guides. The note-taking guide, you're basically bypassing step 1 and step 2. So you will not do step 1 or 2 of your note-taking guide. You are going to put in for L1 and for L2 the x values, the y values. You're going to do a PWR regression, and you're going to get an equation that is 2.25 x to the 0.83. All right, let's keep going. I'm going to make this video pretty short. L1, L2. L1 will have 0, 1, 2, and so on. L2 will have 17.56. We'll have 16.03. We'll have 14.64. You'll put it into the equation, and your exponential model will come out at 17.55 times 0.913 to the power of x. So pause the video, make sure you can do that. And then when you're done, unpause the video, because we'll work on number 3. L1, L2 are your x's and your y's. So 3, 6 are your x's, 8, 17 are your y's. You're going to do a power function, and you'll end up with the equation 2.42 x to the 1.09. 1.09. All right, that's pretty much it. I'm not going to go into, we'll do the last example, I think, right here. This is example 4. You are not doing the whole ln part of this example. You just draw a scatter plot in the space provided, and you're going to look to see if a power model fits that data. So L1 will be your R, L2 will be your V, 1, 2, 3, 4.189, 33.510, 113.097, and you're going to put the rest of those in there. You're going to come up with that, with this graph, your power function would be that V is equivalent to 4.183 R to the power of 3. Try to do number 4 on your own. Put these numbers in to the calculator. Go to the power regression, and you should get, if you're not done yet, pause the video, 7.92x to the negative 0.769. That is your equation. We're going to skip the guided practice, since I think we've done enough of this. Here are your practice problems to complete Chapter 7. Now, in class, we will cover the practice problems and do the mastery, but the very next class period, you have a test. The very next class period, you have a test. You're going to want to pick up the test review and the interventions and have them done and ask the questions you need to be asked for the test. Good luck.